Okay, so here we are with Charlie Myers, a former LTP member from Holy Redeemer and Georgetown Prep in Washington Lee, and he's a member of our Lumen Fellowship program. We meet every month. I also meet with him just about every month. He's been telling me about his experience with a neighbor who is unfortunately dying of cancer. So Charlie, could you unpack that experience and what you've been doing for that neighbor?
Yeah, sure. So, like Father said, I'm Charlie. Went to Georgetown Prep in Washington and Lee. Now I'm a member of the Lumen Fellows group here in Washington, D.C. About 2 months ago, my next door neighbor, Susanna, told me that her husband, George, had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And obviously this was a shock to me and to the rest of the neighborhood. But I wanted to try and do something to help out. And so one of the things that I did is, she has 2 young kids, they're 9 and 11, named Max and Bella. I saw Max riding his skateboard out in our cul-de-sac. And I'm not a good skateboarder by any means, but I do like to do it. So I just grabbed one of my boards and rolled out there and started skateboarding with him. And the next time I saw him do it, I did it again. And then I decided I'm going to buy some skateboard wheels for Max. And then I gave him one of my hand-me-down skateboards. And, just trying to do anything I could to encourage him to get out of the house, go skateboard.
Yeah, so Charlie, what was Max's reaction to your effort to engage him? With his father dying, I'm sure he's kind of sad, and did you feel that picked him up a little bit and helped him? Was there?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things, like when I gave him the skateboard wheels,
Yeah.
his mom texted me like 5 minutes later.
Oh, that's cool.
And was like, "We have the coolest neighbor ever," was the quote that I got.
Okay.
But
And then I think a couple weeks ago, you came up with an initiative to do some gardening with the young boy and girl as well. Yep.
Yeah, so, obviously Bella and I don't have as much in common,
So is Bella older or younger?
She's older.
Okay. Like 11 or something?
Yeah,
okay, all right.
About. So we have like a garden bed in between our 2 driveways, right on the property line.
Okay.
And this year my project for the summer has been the yard. So it sort of fit in with what I was already working on, pretty much every weekend.
Yeah.
And so I texted Susanna and said, "Hey, I'm buying a bunch of plants for the yard because that's my project for the spring and summer. Would it be okay if I ordered some, strawberry, blueberry, and raspberry plants to put in that garden bed that's between our driveways?"
Sure, yeah.
Right? And she was like, "It's your yard."
Yeah.
But my follow-up was, well, I was hoping that Max and Bella could come and plant these with me.
Yeah, help you out.
Something that we could do together, and, something that through the spring and summer they could watch these plants grow, they could water the plants.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, truth be told, plants are not doing great.
Okay.
So I don't know what the harvest is going to look like.
Okay.
But, like they say, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah, and they did help you plant the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was that like for them to kind of work with you on that? Was that kind of a cool experience?
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It was neighborly. I know that I remember doing that as a kid when I was young.
Sure.
Just sort of going and helping neighbors with yard work.
Yeah.
Not that they were helping me with yard work. This was a arranged sort of thing. But
Sure. So you live in a cul-de-sac, and this gentleman, George, he has 4-stage cancer. Is that the situation?
Pancreatic cancer.
So stage 4. You recently went around to your neighbors and let them know that this was happening. And so how did that go, and what's your next step?
Yeah, so I went around to, basically the top of the cul-de-sac, all of the real immediate neighbors, and knocked on their doors just to make sure that they knew. Sure, yeah. Because, this is someone that lives within 100 yards of all of our houses, and everyone should know.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone should be praying for George, or at least keeping them in their thoughts.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that everyone knew, and So sort of next steps would be, I'm gonna try and see if they'd be interested in cooking a few meals a week. You know, like I could take one and another house can take one, and you know, I just think anything that we can do to ease the burden on Susanna and George is something that I'd like to do.
Yeah, so George right now has a kind of a particular diet. He can't eat what most people would be able to eat. So I'd imagine you're going to meet with Susanna and let her know, look, I'm thinking of doing this. What can George eat? What would the kids like? Do they have a favorite dessert maybe we can make? And then hopefully go around and see if we can get the neighbors to commit to a day during the week, one evening maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks, Charlie. I wanted to share this little initiative. Number one, because we talk about loving neighbors, and not a lot of people take that literally. We think of just people in general, but when one of your neighbors isn't doing so good and maybe is dying, you know, I think it's important to let others know what's happening. I was telling Charlie today that growing up in Michigan, we had several neighbors die of cancer in my neighborhood, and my mom and many others would coordinate meals for them and flowers, and I actually dropped off quite a few meals and flowers. And as a little kid, it was powerful to see the effect of that plate of lasagna or that chicken cacciatore or whatever else I was bringing over, or that flower arrangement, on this mother or this father who was about to lose their spouse, on the kids who were watching their mom and dad die. So we're touching a really sensitive thing here. I want to thank Charlie, and I thought it'd be cool to get it out there and make all of you think about your neighbors. And if you're concerned about them and praying for them and aware of what's going on in their life. So thanks again. Appreciate it, Charlie. Great job.
Yeah.
God bless you. Okay, thanks.